Right. Yes. Back for another one. An open court live discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ow!
That was a long growl. Must be the subject matter tonight. Tonight, Monday, November 3rd, 9 p.m., we will be covering the topic the long game, couples who made it last. Welcome to tonight's special segment where we celebrate the enduring power of love and commitment. Despite what some may think, 20 plus years of marriages are not relics of the past. In fact, many couples are proving that long lasting relationships are very alive and thriving. We'll be exploring the secrets to their success, sharing inspiring stories and examining the trends that are helping couples build strong, lasting bonds that stand the test of time. Oh boy, the comments should be flowing in on why relationships don't last, which I look forward to. Please like and share our video. Don't forget to tell an OG in the relationship world to tell another OG to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. 982 subs. The magic number is 18. Let's get it, God damn it. Help us to help you. And here we are. Man, oh man, November 3rd. Like, where did this year go? Where did it go? It's flying by, I tell you that. We're in that crunch time, as they say in boxing. We're in the championship rounds of the year. These last couple months where everything gets critical and how you try to survive the end of the year to try to start off fresh going into the new year. So that's what we got in front of us, where a lot of people probably overdo it, spend to close out the year on frivolous stuff and still caught up in the holiday world. And now we have other things going on. I don't know if they approve the SNAP benefits or whatever the case is that people been tripping about. Just so much stuff that'll be happening as we close out 2025. But we'll talk more about that because all of this stuff is connected when we talk about these subject matters. Big Bad Wolf, what's going on?
Man, just like you said, man, the end of the year is coming quickly, man. And I was just discussing earlier, I'm remodeling my house. Looking like this, like with the exception of the kitchen, I have everything in my first floor stuffed in two rooms.
Hmm.
This one, and if I were to slide that door back, you see everything beyond that door that came out of the living room and the dining room. So I've already pulled up the floor, the old rug. I got a subfloor. Wasn't expecting that. So I got to go out, buy another hardwood floor, lay that, prep the wall, strip the paint off the baseboards and the doors and everything, paint that, and then try and get the wood pellet heater installed all before Thanksgiving because I want December to be smooth because I got some plans and I ain't trying to be interrupted. I'm trying to be in Vegas bringing in the new year. I might be popping bottles. I might be popping a lot of things, but we trying to do it big.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. And for me, we at like I said, this is a trying time, even in the schoolhouse. You know, you would think that kids, as they get closer to the holiday season, their behavior will improve or something. But we're in a time and day and age that folks just don't care. They don't care. So, dealing with that on a day to day basis, and you, again, like I've been saying, it's like getting up for training camp, and you're like, man, how much, how much more can I endure? How much more? And I still have a lot in the tank, but it's to me, it's the matter of do I want to use everything that I still have in the tank, on currently what I do, or do you want to say, man, I still got a lot in the tank. It's time to try something else. So, that's going back and forth with that, and talking to retirement folks and trying to plan that stuff is it's a lot. It's a lot to consider. So it just have you kind of overwhelmed with your thoughts. It's draining. Unless you already had, if you had everything in order, and that's one of the things about relocating from state to state. So again, people be mindful of that. If you got a certain amount of years somewhere and you just decide, oh, it's boring here, I'm ready to make a move, you better think about, when you get in your 50s and your 60s, how is that going to impact retirement and stuff like that? And I always keep saying, most people who, I'm not going to say most, but a lot of, and I'm going to say a lot of, a few people that I've known, retired, then shortly after, uh, they end up passing away. So I just think you don't want to be to a point that you work yourself to damn near death. Then when you did retire, you end up passing away. I would think you want to be re-energized when you retire and still trying to be fresh, brand new, and ready to conquer other goals and aspirations, which still has something to do with the subject matter tonight as we talk about the long game, couples who made it last. And it's a long game, and you got to be prepared to play it and be prepared to have certain things in place to make it work. And not everything is going to be peaches and cream. There's going to be a lot of uphill battles, but how much can you endure uh, to make it work? Or if you're out there chasing that silver bullet, looking for something else, will you end up in a worse predicament? So, Big Bad Wolf, with this subject matter, man, the long game. I know originally when we first talked about it, you said, a lot of people don't think long lasting relationships last anymore. And we see it on social media. You see people, they go through with all the bells and whistles, these weddings, and they do it live and they got it on social media. A couple years later, shit over with.
Um, I actually, let's see, on on my other profile, I've encountered some women that are widows. One female that I used to party with, literally about 20 some odd years ago, she just recently got divorced. So it seems around between the years 10 and 15 that things seem to go awry. I'm gonna let's see, I have a link that I need to actually go find, and I'll drop in the chat once I find it. But they were talking about the reasons why relationships tend not to last, conversely to our parents and grandparents. And I wrote down some things of my own, and some of them they cost pass. But I'll start with this math question. I call this marriage math, or you can call it relationship math. One plus one equals what? I'm not gonna give you the answer. I know you mathematicians out there saying, "Is this dude serious? Is he really asking a basic elementary question such as what does one plus one equal?" Stay tuned. I'll give the answer before the end of the show, because I guarantee you, not many of you are gonna get it right, and it's emblematic of what's wrong with modern relationships. Anyway, marriage exists in long-term relationships, whether they're friendships, work relationships, even your family relationships. They all, not some, not most, they all exist on several axes. I'm going to name some that I put down. If you can come up with more, beautiful. Religious, moral, legal, societal, cultural, time, and freedom. Now we're going to focus on the last one, which is freedom. Relationships now, especially for women, comparatively speaking to your mothers and your grandmothers, you have more freedom. You have the freedom to go to school. You have the freedom to delay childbirth. You have the freedom to delay marriage. Within each one of those decisions is a time element. Now, some people will say they don't see the correlation between freedom and time. Well, I'm going to connect the dots for you. The average American, we're just going to focus on the US for this particular point. The average US high school student graduates at 17, maybe 18 on the low end. You go to school for 4 years, that puts you roughly about 21, 22, unless you pursue a doctorate or master's, pardon me, then a doctorate. You add another 3, maybe 4 years for that. That puts you about 26, 27. The average age of first marriages for women, I think, is 29. For men, is 31. If you're looking to have a family, this is from a female perspective, because males are different, obviously, not necessarily on that biological clock that women are. Roughly speaking, as a 27, 28-year-old, you have about 20% viability of your fertilization window left. Put you up against it. You're fortunate if you get 2, maybe 3 kids. You say, okay, now, am I going to be married when I have these kids? Am I going to be single? Do I want to be in a career path already established? And I want to take some time away to have those kids. All of those play into the decision making that free women had that you didn't have, or your ancestors didn't have, if you will, years ago, generations ago, 2 generations ago max. So that puts a lot of pressure, puts a lot of stress on everything that you decide to do. Whether you marry or not, and marriage numbers seem to be dropping down with these progressive generations, starting from Gen X, our generation. So what do you decide to do? Because men largely they can't determine anything without a mate, especially if they want to get married. So once you do get married, what are going to be the parameters of that marriage? What's going to be the bedrock of that marriage? You both are going to be I can't remember the term. Um, think dual income, no kids. Is the husband going to be a traditional husband? She's going to be a traditional mother or wife, what is called a sham, a stay-at-home mother, or is she going to have kids for the first 6, 7 years? She's going to stay home raising because you don't want to deal with the daycare element. You want to have hands-on with the child rearing. And then when those children get old enough to go to school, she's going to join the workforce. All of those are decisions that your parents didn't really have to make because they were societally made. Fathers usually went out, earned, came back home. Mother did the rearing. If there was any educational issues that had to be addressed, she addressed them. It worked well for most people. I mean, if you look around at the country as it was in the 1980s, 1990s, we were okay. Were things perfect? No. Were there some disharmony at home? Yes. But there's always going to be disharmony at home. This is why communication becomes paramount. People will say, well, what do you mean by communication? Good question. We mean effective communication where 2 people can sit down. They can lay bare their issues without the other one getting offended, and they can work through a solution. Nowadays, that's not the case. Most people don't want to work through. Most people don't want to work through anything, let alone a problem that they have with a family member, a lover, a mate. They just don't. They would just rather run from the problem, and that doesn't solve anything. It does not address anything. As a matter of fact, it does the opposite. It puts more strain on the relationship. And when you're in a marriage, and there's kids involved, and then there's money and finances, this solution becomes a very, very difficult thing to deal with. But a lot of people, they find themselves in that situation. They're saying, well, My mother and grandmother, they were married for 35, 40 years. Why can they stick it out and we can't? Those are really your problems. Now, granted, some people say, well, women didn't have the opportunity to work for themselves. Oh, I'll grant you that. I'll hear that. There's a there. However, men just weren't really the abusive types that we hear of. Because even though the stories that we hear about abuse, neglect, those were few and far between. The numbers don't even support what the average person, especially women, talk about when they talk about abuse. It just isn't there. You can go look at the numbers back then and compare them to now. It's less now because of the awareness, but yes, there was some abuse. Yes, there was physical, financial abuse. You have those men who do that, the same as you have those men that do that now, as well as you have women doing that now. Because now that women are emerging more so as breadwinners, we see the abuse, and now it's becoming more pronounced. In other words, you hear about it more often. You hear about women saying, "Well, I can do this because I'm the breadwinner, and if he don't like it, he can pack his bags and leave." So what are
Well,
we to do?
one of the things that they're gonna say, and we've heard it on this platform, and heard it, in the counselor's corner, that some women gonna say, "Well, our grandmothers and stuff like that, they put up with more stuff. They were stupid. Men had families all over the city, and they tolerated more stuff." And like you said, they're gonna say, "We don't have to live like that anymore, and put up with that. We got options." So they're gonna go back to, and again, that may be some cases, that may not be all cases, but a lot of them are gonna look at, they went
Mhm.
through torment, and they kept quiet just to be able to save face for their family. So that's one of the things. And we got Gita. I said, "Good evening, gentlemen. Hope you guys are well. Happy to see and hear you guys are still doing your thing. No worries. Thanks for coming on and checking in on us, brother. Appreciate it." So that's one of the things that they're going to say. But I want to, before it slips my mind, I know you were talking about numbers and divorce rates and stuff, and I came across something that said 43% of first marriages end in divorce,
Mhm.
60% of second marriages end in divorce, and 73% of third marriages end in divorce. So, like, damn, if you try it twice and then you try it three times and it still ends up in divorce, sometimes you got to think, if you're that person that been married three times, a lot of it might have to do with you. A lot of it may be you as the
Mhm.
individual, and it may be time to say, "I gave it all. I gave it my best." I mean, you never want to tell people to give up in love and true love and making that final connection, but shit, how many times you gonna keep going through? How many times you gonna keep playing that song and be co-starring in that movie? Uh, so that's a lot.
To follow that up, and women use that an awful lot. They say that men benefit more from marriage than bachelors, and evidence is coming through that might be accurate for some ethnicities, and for some ethnicities it may not be accurate. I'm going to let the audience sort out that through for themselves. I'm not going to say anything one way or the other. Now, what happens, especially for a lot of men, is they're raised in, well, I just mentioned culture. They're raised in that culture to where they should be married. So when they get divorced, the first thing they start searching for is another wife, because in a peculiar manner they need that other half at home because that's what they've known. So from the age of 23, 24, they've been married for 10, 15 years. And this is generally who you find get married more often than not. It's not the ones that have 1 or 2 year marriages and they're done. They're like, well, no, I bit the apple, man. I'm shy. I'm not going to do it again. No, these men say once bitten, twice shy. Oh, I'm not that shy. I'm going to tie the knot again. This is why you tend to see older people with multiple marriages. And by older people, I mean boomers and beyond. Mainly because the divorce laws weren't that easy. So you didn't see with multiple marriages. You may have heard them talk about it. They say, "No, man, one was enough for me," because they've been through the wars, they've been through the disagreements, the knockdown, drag out arguments, the things that continue for months. And mind you, most of this was hidden from their children. Like if you ask a lot of children our age who have parents that are divorced now they're older, they'll say they never knew that their parents had marital issues. One of the reasons why was because they understood the greater plan. And the greater plan wasn't for them to get along on everything. Nobody does. Hell, you got twins that don't get along and they're born together. You got siblings that don't see eye to eye. And hell, most of them lived under the same roof. This is where the compromise comes in. And that's the ultimate thing in a marriage, in a relationship. Is shout out to Creflo Dollar. Now, you rarely will hear me mention somebody of a religious esteem here. I'm going to shout him out because he said something that was profound to me. And I'm not married. He had a wife and a husband sitting on stage, and it was a counseling session. And he asked a husband, he said, "What does your wife do that is your business?" Sat for a moment, gave an answer, and he said, "No, that's incorrect." He said, "What your wife does, and I know this is going to hit wrong for some people, is none of your business." He said, "It's your wife's job to make you happy." And of course, male audience members clap. He has a wife. He said, "What is it that your husband does that's your business?" Same thing. She said that for a moment, gave an answer. He said, "No." He said, "It's none of your business." He said, "But it is your business for him to make you happy." And therein lies the trap. In relationships, a lot of people are too busy trying to put themselves first. And ultimately, that doesn't work well. Because in a relationship, if you want it to work, there's got to be some sacrifice. I'm well aware of that. This is why I always say when I start new relationships or the potential exists for a relationship to be long term, what I do on Sundays. Yes, it's selfish. It is very selfish. But the rest of the time, the rest of the relationship, guess what I'm doing? My hands are out. I'm giving. It's the only time that I'm going full selfish mode. And I make that known. So there can be no ambiguity, no ambivalence, no bitterness about, well, all he do is sit around on Sundays and watch football. Because that's only a portion of the year. The rest of the year, I'm at your disposal. Now it's not my responsibility that at that time of the year you don't utilize me. You can't complain about a car that's functional sitting in the driveway and you don't drive it. And then when somebody else wants to drive it, you complain. Well, you always got the car. The car been sitting out there for 6 months. Still a full
So
tank of gas, tires brand new, and you ain't put 4 miles on it. But now I want to drive and it's a problem. And this is what you have a
hold
lot.
up, hold up. I'm gonna keep going back to this. So again, let me get this clear. I know you've been saying this for years. So you pretty much saying like 5 months. You're unavailable on the weekends because you said Saturday you work and then Sunday is your day off. So for 5 months, no weekends, no nothing. Then you work throughout the week. That's just like somebody like like you away at in a halfway house or somewhere in prison or something. So that's 5 months out of the year. I don't know how many women are checking for that one. That you can't
And
give up no weekend.
hey, that's what the book bag wolf wants. And what the big bad wolf wants, he go looks for. And I don't expect. Hey, I'll be the front, and I'll confirm what Dave said. There's not a lot of women that are gonna settle for that, and I am thrilled. You know why? Because those women would never bother me. They won't show up as little Red Riding Hood at my door talking about eat me. bite me, nibble on me. Good. I just happen to be wearing the color red. And you probably figured out what kind of jersey it is, who it is. Yeah. Bow wow, yibby, oh, yibby, yay. Anyway, but
So I guess when you go into it and when you start talking initially, you say, "I'm only available 7 months out of the year."
the
Yeah.
the the last date I was on, which is now probably maybe almost 2 months ago, I think, something like that. I made it known. And her and I talked about it. She's a Bills fan. She's an ardent Bills fan. So she understood what it meant when I said, I'm unavailable on Sundays. Because guess what she said? She said, I am too. See, people, you got to rock with what rock with you. Stop trying to fit your round behind into a square hole. It's going to cause some problems. Fine, there's enough people out there who like what you like. And with the internet, you can always join groups. And I advise people, join groups. Reach out. Ask questions. Send out friend requests. Whether you do this on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Hell, for those of you who are professionally inclined, LinkedIn. From what I understand, LinkedIn is for business-minded people. Hey, find somebody that rocks with you in business and start there. Every thread that you pull is one more opportunity that you have to find success in whatever it is that you do. So whether it's relationships, business, romance, use the internet. I just tell you stay away from dating apps because I don't, personally speaking, I think dating apps are a waste of time. It's a crap shoot. And I don't gamble with my romantic life, if you will. When it comes to romance, I'm trying to find blue chip stocks that I can put my money in and ride the long term. This is why we call this the long term. But you got some people that don't understand that. They don't understand finance. They don't understand how to invest. They don't understand why they should invest. Well, you could be one of those people that get married multiple times and have multiple failures in your relationships. Just the way it is. I'm not here to beat on you. I'm just here to point out to you why you consistently fail. And yeah, people probably gonna revert back to where's your book at? You talk all this trash and you ain't got it out. People, I'm a busy man. Unfortunately, picking up a second job has kind of pushed a lot of stuff back, including my hairline and some sleep. I exist in a state of fatigue. So when people ask me how I am, my reply now, and I mean it, I'm tired. We missed the show last week. Guess what? Because I overslept. I told Dave I woke up at 11:13, and I looked around. It was dark. My first thought was, damn, I'm late for work. Then I started thinking, I said, oh, no. Looked at the clock. Oh, it's Monday. I don't work on Monday. Oh, shit. Missed the podcast.
Yeah, people thought the SPCA came and picked up the wolf. like they got him.
So I'm human, people. So I'm human. I don't know what else to say. I'm very rarely late for work. Matter of fact, if I'm late for work, guess what? They call because they think something's happened. That's how consistent I am with my appearance at work. So it happens. I'm human. So when people talk trash about me, I say, look, you are correct. And people are like, huh? I just said something to diss him. You can't diss me. I said this before and I'll say it again. You can only say one or two things about me. Either it's the truth or it's a lie. If it's a lie, I don't even engage it. If it's the truth, I'll readily admit it. Why not? We got people walking around here with their hindquarters on their shoulders, and when somebody says something about it's true, they're offended. If you don't like it, change it. The power's in your hand. Whatever you don't like about yourself, change. I'm 280 pounds right now, 280 some odd pounds. I don't like it. I got to change. I got to get my diet together. I've done well with not eating the pizza and the wings after the broadcast, but it's during the week now that I'm messing up. And the weather gets colder. That means the days are shorter. I can't really get outside and rollerblade and bike and do all the tennis things. So I have to come up with something indoors that's going to allow me to lose some weight. First place I got to start is the kitchen. I was out shopping. What was it? Monday? No, no, no. Was it? Was it Saturday? A couple days ago. And see, now my memory's starting to go. This is why I started to write everything down. But I went shopping to pick up my boys some cat food at Petco. Um, I can't remember where I was going with the point. Oh, stopped out to get a sub at my steak place or sub place in the mall. Went over to a health food bazaar and they had healthy shakes. So I picked the one that had some orange, some turmeric, and a bunch of other stuff in it that was all orange. I was like, I think I found out what I need to do. So I'm going to set myself up a schedule where 2, maybe 3 days a week, it's only going to be liquids. So um, it's going to be either smoothies that are something like that, or just water. And I'm not trying to advertise. I'm not getting any money, so I'm going to show the brand real quickly, just so people understand we're not being compensated for this one way or the other. I think this is an excellent brand of water. It has some fortified nutrients and vitamins in there that we tend to lack, especially as we get up in age. So potassium and there's one other. I'm drawing a blank right now. Potassium and magnesium. Those are very vital for good blood health. They help with the blood pressure. I know as we get up, especially minorities, as we get up, cardiovascular disease tends to be a really big issue. We talked about health subsequent to last week's um, podcast with regards to that. So, an acknowledgement to the Bradley family. I just heard today about Reggie's passing, and that's that's a different note, man, because Reggie was close to our age. So acknowledgement to you, the family, man. I know y'all going through it. Reggie's a good people, man. So rest up. Um, hey man, y'all get together, man, and celebrate his life. Don't look at his past and celebrate his life, man, because there's a lot of us around who are approaching that day and we don't know. So we want to extend those days. So part of that is good health, and having relationships, especially for men, because they say we don't talk a lot, we don't discuss a lot. So when it comes to health, financial issues, or whatever the case is, we carry that burden. We tend to carry it alone as black men. So get out there and share. Get out there and talk. The holidays are coming up, and we know, and the numbers back this up, that the holiday season is the time of the year where self deletions are on the rise. So get out there, man. Talk to your peoples, man. We have all this availability with technology, man. Talk to your people.
Let
I,
me
I certainly mean that.
when you said yeah, I seen that too, as far as Reggie, whatever, again, shout out to the family, uh, Bruiser, Clevester, Slick Nick. I know Rock and Rod passed a few years
Yeah.
ago,
Mhm.
but I just want to think about Reggie. Just think about him playing basketball for
Mhm.
Trot, being at Du Bois Club, like a sniper, sniper on the court with his jump shot and always under control. I just remember them days. Instant outfits, whatever. Yeah, good dude. And was always in teach mode, whatever. He might have been a couple years older than us. But just the hooper. He was back over there in Gill Creek and all of those days, whatever. And that's what I remember the memories of him being one of the better shooters, whatever, around in Niagara Falls. Man, it's crazy. It's just crazy when we talk about this often. When you get to that point in your 50s, late 50s, mid 50s, and you see brothers like that, like, oh man, it's like, wow. And you just like, man, be grateful to wake up and
Mhm.
man, I don't want that call or that to be me sooner or later. Or somebody say, man, Just seen Dave Herb on their podcast the other day. So you just gotta keep gotta keep a balance with physical health and your mental health as well. And it's something, we have to work together as like you said, and stay in good spirits with good people who got good intentions, who
Mhm.
mean you well. And that ties in with the long game in these relationships. Because if you not in it for the long game and you arguing and you're carrying on and going back and forth and physical altercations and then mental abuse and neglect and all that stuff, yeah, you could be headed down a dead end street, literally. So got to think about that. Shout out to my brother Lemoyne. How you doing, brother? It was awesome seeing you. What's that? Damn, that was damn near a couple months ago already. Except it's
Yeah.
November, whatever. You said, good brother, invest in a cold press juicer. Uh,
I you know I not I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
that's pretty much it. Whatever. Thanks for coming in. Like I said, it was always a pleasure connecting with my brothers from North Ave back in the days.
I struggle between because I have a blender right now, and for me personally speaking, the blender works well. And I know there's juices out there, like you mentioned, Lemoyne, cold press. So I kind of struggle with what to get because with some of them, it removes the fiber. It removes the natural fiber that's in the fruit or the vegetables. So if you use cucumbers, carrots, or what else was in there. So it's carrots, orange juice, turmeric, I think tangerines. I took a picture of the display so I could actually write that down. But it's vital, man. A lot of that stuff, especially now, we get out on our own. We don't really tend to think about nutrition in that particular way. And mainly is because it's the United States. And I'm going to say this flat out. There's a lot of stuff that the common person, we don't know about when it comes to nutrition. I've been getting all this nutrition stuff popping up on my timeline, which for me is excellent. So from workouts to food consumption to what not to eat. I know high fructose corn syrup is it it permeates just about everything we consume, from condiments to everything except raw meat. It's in there, and it's problematic because it's empty calories, and it really has no nutritional value. I'm at the point now where I want to get a group of people together and write to the FDA and our government agencies and say, hey, look, y'all need to remove all this shit from our food supply because it keeps us sick, it keeps us running to our doctors, it keeps the pharmaceutical companies in business, and it raises their profits to record numbers. And all they're doing is treating the symptoms. They're not telling us how to actually live a good life. So if you, matter of fact, at least for me, because I live in Niagara Falls, New York, USA, Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, that's a 15-minute walk from me. I can go over there, get a bottle of ketchup, bring that back, and I can read the ingredients. 4 or 5 ingredients in their bottle of ketchup, 16 in ours. You say, well, wait a minute. Why do we have all this extra stuff in ours and they don't? That's part of the health problem. Literally, I remember when my mother, Lord rest her soul, she was dating a migrant. We'd go read the ice cream, and I'm thinking, damn, that's all I have in their ice cream? Just a handful of ingredients? So yeah, I I I know in a time where food costs are rising, it's hard to shop healthy. I get it. I understand. This is why I'm always saying spread the pain. Costco, BJ's, Sam's Club. Matter of fact, get to the point now where you can get together and start growing, having a community garden. That's about the healthiest you're going to get. We don't know any butchers because unfortunately they've all been pushed out of business. But if you can find you a butcher who does natural stuff, get together with people. Start um paying to have people raise your cattle separately on their farm as a group thing. And then when that cattle gets to the point where you can have it slaughtered, have everybody say, look, this is what I want from the cow. This is what if eating pork is your thing, this is what I want from the pig. And you can supplement that with trips to the store. And it will help defray your food costs. All this is all this is predicated on the community, but without the kids, without the relationships, without those bonds, you have nothing. I was just talking about this with an older woman. She said she was from Manhattan. I didn't get the young lady's name. I was doing laundry at the laundromat across the street from the Burger King that's being remodeled. Shout out to that young lady. Her and her husband travel for work. She's originally from Manhattan. Excellent conversation. We talked about all the things that are plaguing the city, and voting is tomorrow. I'm gonna say this now. I'm gonna say it loud. If you don't get your motherfucking ass out to vote, I don't want to hear shit that's wrong, quote unquote, with the city. Because the first thing I'm gonna say is you what's wrong with the city. You don't get out and vote, but your bitch on social media about what's not going on. So you advocate your right to vote. You shouldn't complain. I'm gonna say it now. Don't care who like it. Don't care who's against it. You get what you vote for, and since you ain't voting, you don't get shit. But yeah, all those things are important. So whether you're childless like me, you still live in the community. Whether you have children and they moved on and they're adults, you still live in the city, you're still in the community. Any way that you can pitch in. And matter of fact, we're gonna be rolling out something in the council's corner. I have to give some tweaks. Is about donating. I got it from Star. Shout out to Star. I'm gonna drop it in there. I gotta set up some things here locally so people can donate. And we're gonna take that money, we're gonna distribute it among the families who are in need. Mostly, yeah, it's gonna be women and children. And I said this, and I said it before. When communities were originally set up, the people in need were the people who received. And generally speaking, yes, that was mostly women, single women with their children. We were talking about a shout out to Mark Scott. We were at a wine, I'm sorry, wine celebration, a champagne celebration. Shout out to D. Scott. I can't remember the young lady's name we were celebrating, and we were talking about it. The mayor was there, and Jeffrey Elder running for jeez, I got all these names and things in my running for legislative district in number 6. This is why I tell people get out, go meet people. You don't know what you're gonna stumble into. You don't know who you're gonna talk about. You don't know what's gonna talk about. And we were talking about all the clubs that we used, all the boys clubs and girls clubs that we used to go to. 17th Street Boys Club. Shout out to Knuckles Bradley. 13th Street, right down the street from where I am. Shout out to Garth Ellis. Shout out to Michael Thompson. Those were our de facto fathers for a lot of young boys at that particular time who didn't have fathers. They always made sure that we had a safe environment away from the streets, away from the crime element and the drug element. We're zero tolerance. And we all grew up under that umbrella. We played bitty basketball. If you got old enough, you played in the leagues down the middle of the week. All of us grew up in that community. And basketball was a stick. We all did it. Very few people have come through there. Matter of fact, I'll go out and say this. Very few people have come through Niagara Falls, our age, especially as black boys, that didn't go to one of those 3. Matter of fact, I'll include the 4th one. The community center across town, just by Center Court. Everybody that played ball at Niagara Falls High School, shout out to the Power Cats.
You gotta give a shout out to Eddie Tab,
yes,
the community center there.
Yes.
Even when they opened up the housing authority, Fields, whatever, Eric Fields, at the housing authority. all of those people were bridges that connected the community and helped a lot of people kind of be the trailblazers to lead
Mhm.
them to getting to higher levels in sports and stuff. So we had a lot of great pillars of
Mhm.
our community, and we need to get back to those individuals now. You know, we have the Ezra Scotts and stuff like that
Mhm.
that's putting in work. Dante Miles, Busy Brian Archie,
Yeah.
and folks like that that's trying to put in, put in work. Owen Steed, Dirty O, and people like that, putting themselves out there. But as you hear, a lot of people, like Herb said, complaining and this and that. And hey, y'all got to get out there and vote. You got to get to the board meetings. You got to get um, you you got to get to those and participate. And the strength is in the numbers. And I was just talking to someone this morning. They was saying about Lasalle Middle being closed for the last couple of days because of some environment, something going on in the school. I guess they was closed on Friday. And then
Oh.
also today, I was like, those schools is old as hell. It's time to rebuild some new schools, middle schools in Niagara Falls. Gaskill, old as hell. Lacelle Middle, old as hell. These schools is old. It's time to try to put something in place to get some new middle schools in, because whether you know it or not, that's probably it's one of the critical ages, whatever, development, middle school kids. So it's
Mhm.
time to give them something nice, a school that they could be proud of. Because if not, they're gonna keep acting the fuck up. But it doesn't matter. I'm in a brand new school right now, and they cut a fool. They cut a so I'm sounding like a hypocrite, but at least you can say, hey, we did everything we could to try to make it better for you. You just didn't accept it. That's just like a parent working hard, working overtime, giving their kid everything they can in a household, and you decide you want to go out and steal. You want to go
Yeah.
out and sell drugs. You want to get out and do this. If somebody does everything they can, then you have no one to blame. And we have a lot of older people blaming parents for their mishaps when their parents did the best that they can to put them in a position to be successful, and you chose again peer influence, which sometimes, and I tell people often, after a while, peer influence become more important than parental influence. See, I was lucky. I was lucky. I had a lot of peer influence, but I would tell them in a minute, ain't none of y'all can give me what my family can give me. So shit, y'all can stop talking to me if y'all want, cause y'all can't do shit for me as far as that. And we can go without speaking. And any one of them, they'll know. Yeah, he said that back then. Y'all can't do nothing for me. So I'm not gonna worry about your influence. I'm gonna worry about my family members that's gonna help put clothes on my back. If I need a new bike, I need new sneakers, need money in my pocket, their influence is going to be more than you guys being mad at me or not speaking to me. But we know in the world of social media, it takes over. Even grown ass adults be worried about getting kicked out of group chats and shit like that. I wouldn't give a damn if you remove me from a group chat. I wouldn't give a damn. Two fucks, whatever. And I don't care how long we've been friends, whatever. Because at the end of the day, you need certain well, as you get older, you need certain things. You need certain things from friends, that like little intangible things that uh a good listening ear, someone that motivates you, positivity. That's what you need in friendships. It's not the same as before. Some of y'all basing y'all friendships on when you was teenagers or in your 20s, 30s. When you start being in your 40s and 50s, you view people differently.
You
So y'all
should.
better progress and grow and think about that instead of saying, "Oh, we were cool. That's been my dog. since I was 20. But that was 20. You're 50 now.
Yeah.
You can't be the same. You got to grow. You got to develop. Can't keep doing the same shit. Now I've spoken, so I'm gonna pass the baton.
Yeah, man, all this stuff is like David always says, all this stuff is intertwined. You know, we talk about one subject, but we can always relate it back to multiple others. That is life. Life is a fabric. You weave something here, you put it over here, you find a use for it here. All this stuff is interrelated. Look at the people who live long, productive lives. They usually have multiple lives. Like David said, he's getting ready to transition from one career to another. I had the good fortune of seeing a bunch of youth, and when I say youth, I mean youth, young girls and boys from the ages of 8 up to like 13, black belts in their respective martial arts discipline. And I told a couple of them, I said, hey, look, keep doing what you do. You get to a point where you become a master of whatever discipline you're in. And when you reach there, don't stop. Transition to another one and keep going. You never know when a movie might come and call and need your expertise. A lot of people don't realize now what being an expert in a particular discipline really means. And simply put, being an expert in a particular discipline means you know more than the average layperson out there. So if I want to talk about science to somebody, well, guess where I'm going to? I'm going to university, whether it's UB or NU or anywhere they have a science program. And I'm going to say, point me to your scientific department. I'm going to go in, there's going to be somebody sitting in there with a master's, maybe a doctorate in science. And I'm going to speak to them about certain things. Maybe I'm writing a movie that's based on something having to do with science. They're going to be the master that I turn to. They're going to be the expert. Same thing at trials. When you testify at a trial under the guise of an expert, guess what? You are now an expert because you've already been called and you've given your testimony under the guise of an expert. A lot of people don't realize how all this stuff plays into our modern society. You want to be a childhood expert on child psychology? Start reading. Start producing. Start going to hang out with people who do this stuff. Go to seminars. Whether they're paid or unpaid. Start doing all this little. We spend so much time online. The average person won't take time to enrich what they know because they think it's a waste of time. They say, I don't see the benefit in it. Nobody ever sees the benefit in something until the benefit's been actualized. Why? I don't know. They say, well, why am I going to do all this? Why am I going to prep for this? It's not making me any money. Yeah. You lift all those weights. You eat all that good food. Hopefully. Not because it benefits you now, but because when you get to be 45, 50, everybody that's coming down with cancer or some other disease that's preventable through good diet, you say, hey, look, I'm okay. Why? Because you did the preventative stuff earlier in your life, just like the education you prepare for early in life to carry you through your later years. So when people say, where the hell did you learn that from? I was never taught that. You say, you know what? I wasn't either, but I sought the information. I wanted to do better. And true story. I'm sitting there texting my boy, shout out to Carnell, and he's telling me how to do electrical work in my house. I'm like, shit. When it comes to 220 live line, DC, that's not my thing. Plumbing, I might try to tackle the plumbing because we were talking about that because I got to have that done. He said, shit, you should be able to do everything. I said, well, my problem is, and we both shot the message back at the same time. He said, except for when it comes to the outside, where you connect to to the city's main line. I said, that's got to be outsourced because I don't have the heavy equipment. There's stuff out here for you to learn, for you to become better at. You may not master it, but it makes you more viable. It makes you more viable when it comes to dating. Because women always say this to men. You ask them, can you cook a meal from scratch? They ask you, can you build a house from the ground up? And you know what happens when you say yeah? They mouth closed. Because that's the only thing they got to say. So if you can dig into the ground, lay some concrete, do some wiring, and build yourself a small little something, they can't fuck with you. And same thing for the women. And I know this is gonna sound sexist, but I'm gonna say it anyway. If you can knit, you can cook, you willing to clean, that's gonna put you head and shoulders above women who out there with the BBL, then went and got some implants, some Botox, all of that stuff. Because at the end of the day, men want something that they can actually tangibly touch, that they can relate to. That when they come home and it's Sunday and it's November 3rd and the Dallas Cowboys are playing the Arizona Cardinals.
And getting their ass whooped.
Yeah, I figured as much. It's the last 2 weeks, man, running. That's why I'm kind of glad I ain't gotta listen to it. I ain't got to see it. Because last week, man, was ugly. I was like, the first few weeks, it was all right. CD went down, Pickens stepped up. I was like, all right. They playing, they balling. They showing some grit. Well, that sandpaper ain't got no more sand on it, so it's just paper. But as it goes, man, I'm gonna be the ride or die. Like I say, we them boys, ride or die. But you got to make yourself desirable. You have to make yourself a commodity. You have to make yourself something that somebody sees something in. A lot of people, they want to roll out here and they lack substance. And what do I mean by that? You're nothing. If I stripped you of your clothes, gave you a fig leaf, and I put you out on the corner, nobody will look at you. And it's not because you're not physically impressive. That's the problem. You're physically impressive, but you stand for nothing. Nobody wants to have a conversation with you. You can't stop to have a conversation with a random person about a random topic. Why? They don't know nothing. You're full of Hollywood stories. Who's sleeping with who wins the versus battle? Who's the best rapper? Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. That's the stuff that fills your everyday life. Nothing like I said, nothing about politics. It's not necessarily anything having to do with politics. You can't talk about philosophy. You can't talk about current events. You can't talk about what's going on in the Middle East. You can't talk about stocks. You can't talk about bonds. You can avoid anything. So you go on a date, and what do? Sit there and do what? Stare at each other. You can't talk about having kids because now you in your late 40s. You earn enough money just to keep a roof over your head. You really can't do anything. You don't go anywhere. You've never been anywhere. So a lady asks you, do you own a passport? You say, a who? A passport. You say, no. She said, well, I like to travel. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Asia. I want to go to parts of Asia. I want to travel to Japan. As difficult as it might be right now, I want to go to China. I want to go to Italy. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Portugal. I want to go to Spain. A matter of fact, I just want to be able to say I took the channel from Cherbourg, France to wherever wherever deposits in England. I'm not sure. And some people say, well, what's the channel? Really? You know what the channel is? Channel is the train that goes underneath the English I forgot the English Channel from France to England. You got to make yourself desirable beyond the physical, beyond all that stuff that we mere mortals find attractive. Got to be something more than what they call an empty suit. Got to be more than just something that fills out a skirt and a bust and a bustier. I'm just saying, you want the long haul, yes, you got to have something that's physically attractive, but you also need to have something that once that physicality wears off, that somebody's gonna be able to bind with, that you can be able to sit there and talk about. So when the cold days roll around and you don't want to go outside, y'all can put a movie in. You can sit there and you can enjoy each other's silence. Because what is the adage? What doesn't need to be spoken, don't need to be spoken. I think it's something like that. You don't have to speak all the time you're together. Sometimes your heartbeat is enough, but you got to develop that. You got to get there. You got to start somewhere. You just not gonna walk into a room and your soulmate's gonna appear. You might have to do some mining to get to that soulmate. You might have to kiss a few frogs. You might have to uh I don't know what the appropriate analogy is for women because they never give one for women. So I'm gonna try and create something on the fly. You might have to drink some bad water out of a bad cistern and say, "Oh, that leaves a dirty taste in my mouth. I need something good. I need something pure for me." It's out there, but you
Well,
got to be able to attract it. You can't be afraid. And I know how this is gonna play with some people in the red pill spaces. You're gonna have to learn how to deal with rejection. You're gonna have to learn how to deal when a woman says no. You can't freak out. Take your pennies, put them in your pocket, and go find somebody else who's willing to take your pennies and help you turn those pennies into dollars. And I assure you that by the time you find somebody who's willing to help you turn those pennies into dollars, you can say, damn, I'm glad I went through all this. I'm glad I went through all that because it led me down this road to where you are. And you know what? You might be in your mid to late 40s. You might have adult children as a woman. You might have adult children as a man. So you both have an understanding of certain things. Neither one of you wants children. You say, hey, look, you know what? We got a foundation from which we can work from. Now, we not might make it to 30 years, but we can make this 15 that we got left count. We can make this 15 worth something. We can make this 15 seem like 50 because we on the same page, we want the same things, and we're willing to work together. And we have not forgot relationship or marriage math. We know that one plus one doesn't equal two. One plus one equals one. Why? It's simple. When you're at a marriage, when you're when you're at a wedding, the individual who's presiding says what God, and I'm not necessarily invoking the name of God, what God has brought together, let no man take it thunder. One plus one equals one. That's relationship math, that's marriage math. And anybody who wants to disagree, you probably got a divorce in your history. You probably got several relationships in your history that could have materialized into something, but you weren't willing to sacrifice. You weren't willing to put the other person forward first, pardon me, and that person wasn't willing to put you first. Because I assure that when you two do that, you will find a commonality that you don't want disrupted. You don't want to break that up because you say, this person understands. This person is willing to sacrifice of themselves to see me happy. Remember what I talked about Creflo Dollar? And you doing the same? You're an unbeatable squad. You're like the British Bulldogs, tag team champions. Can't nobody defeat you because you're in it together.
I
Not for
think
Go ahead, Dave.
I think some of the key components to all of that is when you originally said about communication, having the ability to have regular, meaningful conversations that, and again, I always talk about courageous conversations. And conversations ain't gonna be pleasant. Sometimes you gotta listen. Sometimes your partner gonna get in your ass. And whether you could take it or not. And it don't have to be that they're being downright abusive, but they've been with you. They kind of know, you know, they kind of can adapt and pick up on certain things. So if they see you going down the wrong road, they're gonna speak on it. And remember,
Mhm.
a conversation is a two-way thing, and you can't expect that you do all the talking and then someone's not going to give any feedback back. If you say something, uh, that's going to warrant a response from your partner, whether they're defending or they're justifying or rationalizing. They're going to give their reasons behind their behaviors. Got to listen. You got to listen. Forgiveness. You got to let go. You got to let go the past. Everybody makes mistakes. Sometimes people make mistakes over and over. Again, I always talk about the miracle question. You have to ask yourself, is your world better with or without that person? If mistakes are being made, but you're willing to uh, forgive but never forget, then you'll be able to accept the forgiveness part of it. Appreciation. Sometimes you just got to do random things, random gestures. Stop worrying about Valentine's Day, all of these other days. To me, like I say, it's the random gestures of appreciation. Hey, I stopped by here. I seen this. Or something came across social media and I was like, man, she would look nice in this. Or a piece of jewelry. So, or something, and you decide to order it and they get it like, what is this for? Yeah, I was thinking about you. I was like, this is you all the way. It don't you don't have to go to subscribe stuff. Uh, y'all so damn robotic and so conditioned,
Mhm.
and think that that's love because on Christmas everybody's doing this that you got to do it. No, you do. You set your own terms of your relationship. Just because you see shit on social media and people got that, don't compare your relationship to them. You can don't compare. You can identify, but don't compare. Like, oh, well, they did this, they did that. That's gonna be the downfall of your relationship. Do stuff. Be creative. Set your own traditions, your own norms, and things that you do. If you get caught up in your friends, because your friends they could be doing all this on social media, be miserable as hell. And at the end, and you could appreciate your partner because you were having a bad day. You came home, you did not know that they had did this for you, and they just did it out of the blue. And maybe they heard something in your voice when y'all talked at lunchtime. Say, man, she going through it. So let me stop off, or let me leave work early, so when she comes home, she could have this there for her. She could have this. It goes a long way. But you can't tell y'all nothing. Monkey see, monkey do. Whatever they, and that's the problem. Like I said, y'all, I always talk about this. Y'all want to look alike. You want to celebrate the same time. You want to dress alike. Want to wear the same damn hairstyles and do this and that. Like a bunch of clones running around, whatever, trying to have relationships. Let's see how that works. It'll just be one after another. Unless you do something to stand out or you have your own positions and say, I'm not doing that shit. I don't give a damn what. And like Herb said, shit, I want to watch football for 5 months. I'm not doing what you want me to do. Either you accept it or you don't. But it's not going to be based on what your friend or your cousins or your friends do. Me and you we gonna deal what we got to deal. It's gonna be between us. And until y'all get that through y'all thick heads, you're gonna keep getting the same results. We talk about this stuff all the time, but also independence, maintaining individuality and interest while growing together. And I always talk about interdependence, like building and growing off of each other weaknesses and strengths, whatever. I mean, you can.
Mhm.
We all could be independent, but also you want to turn that independence into interdependence, whatever, that you help each other grow and build off of strengths. Then again, we always talk about habits. Some people have good habits, bad habits. The ones that make it last, they have regular built-in date nights that they go out. It may not be every week. They may say, okay, twice a month, we're gonna go out. It's gonna be all about us. We're gonna get dressed. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna spend all Saturday together, or
Hmm.
we're gonna go out for a few hours, and then you compromise because it may be someone that says, "Well, let's get out early because I know you mentioned boxing coming on later on. I don't want to interrupt that, so I know that Terrence Bud Crawford is fighting or somebody fighting that you want to see. So if we can get out early and do that, then we can get back, unwind or whatever, and do that." That's about the communication piece to know, like, I don't want to derail this person's plans because I know they look forward to this, or my show comes on this time, so we can do it between that time. And you got to respect that. But some of them, oh, what's more important? Oh, you can DVR that, or you can such as that. Nobody, a real fan, nobody don't want to watch no shit that they already know the results of. When you a real fan, you want to see it right then and there because more than likely you know the results of the score if you've been on social media or something comes across. So you want to be live in the moment, have those emotions during that time. So it doesn't just like how somebody else won't tell me what happened in the movie. Don't tell me what happened in that series. We'll get your ass
Yeah.
off social media or whatever the case is, and you won't know what happened. But when sports, it's just a different
Yeah.
element. So, but when you thinking about the you know the long dance, the long plan, the long game, you're putting all those skills into place, and you're coming up with habits, dating nights, shared activities. You have a brand or something you're passionate about, your partner that should become passionate for them.
Yeah.
Uh, and it goes without saying. So they should be willing to do whatever. They shouldn't look at it, oh, that's just a hobby or whatever. If they know you could put blood, sweat, and tears in it, then they should put that into it. And you should do the same. You should do the same. If it's something that they care about, you shouldn't look at it, oh, that's stupid, or whatever the case
Right.
is. Then you need to find that energy and dedication to say, hey, babe, how could I help? What you need me to do? You need me to run errands. You need me to get this, or you need boxes or something like that. You need me to drop off this, or you should do it. It goes with saying. Those are the things that keep the long game going. What else did I pass the baton? Uh, Benefits of a long term thing. You have a deeper connection. Like what you ultimately chasing is memories,
Hmm.
deep like memories, connections that you can talk about, and that gets you through year by year. Even when you're having a bad spot, you can go to one of those memories and be like, yeah, remember this day, or remember when we did this, and it may bring laughter and joy to you. I think I just posted a post earlier where I said that a guy said the best time of his life was college. But meanwhile, you've been dealing with him for 5, 10 years, and he keeps talking about the best time of his life is when he was in college. That may need to raise a red flag or your antenna, like, yo, what am I, chopped liver? Like, shit, we've been together 5 years and you still talking about college. You 40 something. When our memories gonna kick in and you're gonna say, man, I remember when we went here, remember we did this, man, I had a blast. But if they keep talking about the best times of their life was college, now, granted, I had great times in college and all that, but I use those as tools to, as far as development. Like, Yeah, I remember I did this or did that, but now, shit, I'm 50 something. But these are some of the things that I used to do. You may still have some of that in you, but you may kind of refine your skills or things, your decision making. So just think about that too. You got to be considerate. Again, but if somebody keeps saying, man, that's the best time of my life, and you've been with that person for years, I don't know how fondly they think of you if they still going back 20, 25 years, but y'all been together like 10 years, 15 years, or whatever the case is, and they still talk about that. Mm, just think about it. I don't mean to bust y'all bubbles, but that's just something.
I'll tell you why, because you're not doing anything that creates, and I just matter of fact, I posted the link in the chat for those of you who are inclined. Check out the link, and the gentleman talks about it. Um, his name is Dr. Reeves. I can't remember his first name, but he talks about how things like what David was just talking about creates a dopamine hit. And in other words, it creates that memory nodule that takes you back to that particular time. This is why I say I don't celebrate holidays. Why wait to do something that's going to be fun for both of us? Why wait till it's cold outside and I say, you know what, let's go do something? You say, oh, it's too cold. You know what, you're right, it's too cold. So let's do it while it's warm. Let's do it while it's getting cold. Hey, I booked us a cabin for the weekend. Let's go get away. But football's on. Yeah, I know. But you've earned a spot. You've earned a day where I might take away from football. And so you don't know that the Cowboys got to buy. Shh, don't tell nobody. Let her think I'm sacrificing for her. It creates a little void where I can get away with some shit. See, y'all don't understand. That's next level. See, I've been trying to tell you, stick to your uncle. Your uncle gonna put you in how to get some stuff for free. But because you ain't in the long game, you don't etch out stuff. You don't create circumstances and situations where you can maneuver, get between some things, and then sneak out, bust around the end for 70 yards and score a touchdown. You don't know about this stuff because you don't do it. So here she is, she thinking you sacrifice for her, and you say, hey, look, I had no interest this week. The Cowboys weren't playing, the Bills weren't playing, my squad wasn't playing.
But
And
even if they were playing and you created that ambiance and you had a cabin, whatever, I'm sure she would be in her glory, just taking pictures. Oh, I'm here and there, and meanwhile the game is going on, uh, and you can still. They might not even say, "I don't even give a damn. Go ahead, watch your game. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna maybe call her sister or friends, or we just chilling. It is so relaxing. He over there, Cletus over there watching the game, Melvin watching the game. We fine, whatever. I'm having a good time. I needed this. I just needed to
fellas,
get away.
I'm gonna give you some free game. If you want some time away from your woman, and you've been with the same woman for, let's say, 15 years, and it's Sunday, she won't bug you to go to church, do something like this. Get up, go to church real early. Let her. She already know, you want to be up by a certain time. Had it set up, and then you know what you do? Book her a spot date for 12:30, and you're gonna ask, but the game started at 1. Why 12:30? Because I guarantee you, at 12 o'clock, she's gonna want to be up out of there to be there at 12:30. So that's what that means about 1 o'clock. You're home with your beverage in your hand and kick off on the toe. See, y'all don't want to be preemptive. Y'all want to wait to do shit, man. And I don't understand you fellas. This is why not owning a car works in my benefit, because I understand how to plan for the future, how to get around certain things that might be an impediment to others. Y'all don't get it. Y'all don't plan. Y'all have no spontaneity. So you can say, well, he don't do anything. He's boring. He don't go anywhere. 'Cause you 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 don't go anywhere This is your chance to spark that opportunity. You say, hey, look, she didn't know it was coming. You knew it was coming. It's a big game. It's a division game. Week 14, the marbles is on the table. She don't know because she don't follow. So book that spot. Drop some coin. Stop being stingy. You work for it. Drop some coin. Invest in her because guess what? She's going to invest in you. And you know what? She's going to think back. She's going to say, you know, I remember that day you booked the spot date. It was a game. You went to church. That's the memory. So guess what you've done now? You've taken that college date or those days where she say, I never had as much fun. She would say, you know what? You booked a spot date. I think that's nice. I think that's kind. Like he didn't have to do all that. I wonder now, of course, women being women, she's gonna wonder why. What is he trying to do? What is he trying to set up? Oh, she's gonna be nosy. She's gonna ask questions. You know what? You stoic. You just say, you know what? I did it just because. And she's gonna keep peppering you with questions. You know what? You say, I did it just because. Just because you deserve it. And that's all you gotta say. Just keep repeating the same answers. Eventually she's gonna stop asking the questions because she knows you got one line. You just deserve it. You've done so much for me. And she's gonna say, in her own mind, because you know what? She ain't did nothing for you. She hasn't did anything for you. She hasn't done for another man. All of a sudden now you got her in the corner. Because she's gonna think, okay, if I keep asking him why, he's gonna eventually ask me, well, what have you done to deserve it? And she ain't gonna have an answer. You know what? Women don't want to ever feel like they owe a man something. So long as you keep one step ahead of her, guess what she's gonna do? She's gonna back up off you. She's gonna let you watch the Bud Crawford fight. She might even let you bring some of your boys over. She might even cook something for you and your boys. She's gonna make sure y'all got plenty of cold beer or some Henny or whatever it is you're drinking. And she's gonna go scurry off with the girls. Honey, I'm gonna leave you alone. There's some food here. I called to order some pizza and wings. There's plenty of beer. I'll see you later tonight. I'll see you in the morning. I'm gonna stay the night over such and such house. Do me a favor. Just clean up after your crew. And she gone. That's the long game. Those are the type of things that you want to be able to aim for when you're in a relationship because now there's a bridge there. There's open communication. There's no expectations. You guys have said what you want. Nobody's feathers are being ruffled. Nobody's being left unattended. Everybody has everything that they need. You know why? Because you put somebody else before you. You stopped opening the door, let that person go in. That person pulled out your chair. You pulled out their chair. You put some gas in the tank. You made sure that the tires were inflated. She know you like your shirts crisp and pressed. So guess what she do? In the morning, she gets up a half an hour before you do. You didn't know. You get out there, your clothes are laid out. You say, damn. Okay, what happened? You thinking she did something. She says, no, babe. I did it just for you because you did this for me. Guess what? You keep feeding the machine. You keep feeding the machine. And next thing you know, you got this machine here, you got this apparatus, it's unstoppable. It's uncontrollable. And the relationship math, 1 + 1 = 1, all of a sudden now it starts to grow. And you just realize, you say, hey, you know what? We make a great couple. And we, not I, not her, not me, not she, we, we gonna ride this thing until the wheels fall off. Until one of us can't walk anymore. Maybe we have to get pushed around in a wheelchair, but we gonna do what it do. We gonna make it work because we believe in the sacrifice for the individual for the greater good. And when you do that, and you got another person alongside you who's committed to that, you realize it's better to be with somebody who's committed wholly than just by myself because as the acronym goes, together, everybody achieves more. That stands for team. I didn't make that up. I got that from my job. I thought it was kind of cool because rarely, only in golf and tennis do you win championships alone. Every other sport that I know of is a team sport. And the Dodgers will tell you it took a team to beat that team just north of where I am in Toronto. And it took everything that everybody has so they could be World Series champions. You want to find you a woman who's committed to the same level that you are, and you two make it work. Make it work by putting your all in. Don't cherry pick. Don't nitpick. Put it all in. Put your cards on the table. You say, look, this is what I got. Can you help me? Or how can I help you? Or better yet, how can we help each other? And when you answer those questions and you answer them honestly, you find out, you know what? Being in a relationship for a long-term relationship with one person where we know everything about each other. We know, like Dave was talking about earlier, what she likes. I know what he likes. I don't have to wait around. If I see something I'm out shopping to pick it up. Put it on the pillow. It doesn't have to be Christmas. It doesn't have to be Valentine's Day. It's there. And that appreciation, if it's the right person, it will embed itself in that individual's collective memory, and they're gonna say, okay, I can't be outdone. I'm gonna one up him. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. And sometimes that's what it's about. It's about building. It's
Yeah.
about building.
And I always talk about little things lead to big things. And even if you go back to Big Bad Wolf's situation about her leaving and going with her girlfriend and sister house, and she left the house, set up everything for you, got your drinks, your favorite drinks. Um, know that your boy's coming over, gave you the assignment. Just make sure you clean up. Even if you watch a boxing fight, and you know that she left early. Fellas came over 8, 9 o'clock when the real fight started coming on, and she got out of there at 6. Even during the fight, in between rounds, you called her for a brief second. Baby, I'm just thinking about you. I appreciate you. Like we having a good time. Just a little check in. Stop worrying about what your boys or for your females, what your girls say. Oh, you checking in? That's your fucking relationship. Damn right I am. Because this is what we established between us. So if you're a guy and you're doing it, hey baby, just thinking about you, whatever, fight good, everything going good. Oh, such and such Herb over here drunk as hell. But we all having a good time. And that little those little gestures go a long way. And it might only be like a minute conversation. Call you back shortly or check back in with you shortly. And everything is fine because people want to be thought of, want to be validated, and want to know that, hey, he just didn't get here and I left and set up everything. Now all of a sudden I'm an afterthought. No, you want to keep them in the process as well. Some things you may be doing, you still want to keep them in the loop of what's going on or what's happening, or yeah, we're over here, checking in. Oh yeah, Elvin, he drunk as hell. He might end up having to stay the night or whatever, or something. He ain't gonna be able to drive back, whatever.
Yeah. Leave
He
him on
done
the couch,
messed
give him a
around
blanket,
and
he'll
had
be all right.
3, 4 shots, and she may tell you, yeah, well, you got the blankets, whatever, or put him in there, such and such. That's fine. Just make sure he don't throw up on my damn rug or whatever the case is. And you you work together on that, and you understand. Like, I got you, baby. I got you. Make sure, like, this ass, oh, he good for throwing up or whatever, because essentially she start knowing the characters um in your world, and she could give you feedback. All too often, I'll tell you, all too often, guys may give their feedback about some females.
Mhm.
That women take that shit way too fucking personal. Like, how dare you talk about this and that? But a woman can know about a man. You could say, "Hey, you know, his ass was go get drunk." I don't know too many guys like, well, I know you ain't talking about my homeboy. The fuck you talking like nah, I don't get down like that. Shit, if you telling the truth, you telling the truth. And
Yeah.
that's what it is. But y'all allegiance be real strong. Real strong. But meanwhile, if something go wrong with you and your person, that same person you was fighting going to bat with, shit, she the one over up in your gate, uh up in your old spot. Uh you gotta have a balance, whatever. If your man knows something or he sees something, he may speak on it. Same way you may do it. So it's about again the little things lead to big things and kind of being thoughtful and thinking of each other during those type of situations and guarantee you it goes a long way. It goes a long way as building your connectivity and understanding and trust between each other. And sometimes we get sidetracked or derailed and we're like, I ain't saying shit, I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that. But at the end of the day, when you get a certain age, shit, either you could decide to start over or you can look at the values that you may have in a person and say, you know what, they really not that bad. A lot of the shit has been, a lot of it was me. It was my own shit I was dealing with. And that's what you got to determine, especially when you're trying to play the long game. And I know Herb had mentioned the Toronto and the Dodger series. Man, baseball be good as hell during playoffs. So that's just another sidebar. But the one thing I realized watching that series, if and it's a sidebar, Otani was it whatever his name is, if he the
Yo, Tommy,
best
yeah,
player,
boy,
then
he's a
shit,
beast.
Vladdy got to be number two. Uh, and then maybe Aaron Judge. Vladdy's a fucking beast, man. That dude, beast. And the thing about it is his personality. See, Otani, he's from Japanese, so he really, he's still trying to pick up the uh
The
American
nuance,
ways and all that
yeah.
stuff. So he may not be able to exude his personality. But Vladdy, that dude, I'm like, I didn't realize he was that good. I was like, yo, this dude, man, is dangerous,
Well,
whatever.
his father used to play
Yeah,
for his father. Played for Montreal, broke in with the
yeah,
Expos. And then I
I
can't
remember
remember who
him.
else his father went to. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember. So yeah, well, his son is like, psh, and just to think that he built that up, and his son got a $500 million contract. Life is good. Life is
mm.
good. And see, and it's things like this that guys enjoy that kind of brings us joy, whatever. So I understand when Herb talk about his sports, and I just give him a hard time. For me, like sometimes just watching that, even the commentators, who I enjoy, Big Poppy. I enjoy him on the
they
pregame and
made a
all that
really
stuff.
really good team. Him, Jeter, and A Rod, they really did.
Yeah, I enjoy him. My dog, that's a funny guy, whatever. So sometimes sometimes guys need that, whatever. Sometimes you may be having a tough spot, and sports may be the thing that kind of get your adrenaline going and get you in the right place. And like, all right, watching that, I'm back on track. Everybody needs something to get back on track, and you rather for them to have that than say, oh, they didn't went out to the damn bar and they left at 8 or 9, and it's 2, 3 in the morning. Now they coming in drunk as hell or whatever. You rather just let them have their time and space to watch their sports, and then maybe they're like, all right, I needed that. Now I can resume and come back and gather myself, and we can, connect the missing pieces. So a lot of different things we throwing out there. Uh, and again, nobody's saying they're experts, and people probably like, well, neither one of y'all been married for 20, 30 years or whatever the hell. How could you just, because this stuff isn't rocket science, just rocket science. It's a lot of it. A lot of our mistakes is basic common sense, but we get stuck in our own way. We know what we're doing. I know if I'm in something, a lot of times it's me being stubborn. I know right from wrong. I might just be a jerk and just be stubborn and ride it out because I'm not ready to submit instead of saying, yeah, I did wrong. I should have handled this way. And I think is how remember that too as guys. We kind of delicate too, whatever. We like to be handled a certain way as well. Eh, we don't like, you're not looking for somebody being confrontational and all that stuff because then you poking your chest out, then we poking our chest out, then we just at you kind of at an impasse and nobody's giving ground. So somebody has to be able to say, you know what, let me eat this humble pie and for the sake of us or the sake of having a good night or a better day to eat this humble pie and go about my business. So a lot of things been thrown at you and you're trying to play the long game. And you think of the long game, you coming up with different strategies and stuff to win. So it's just no simple solution. You might have to pinch it, you might have to bunt, you might have to do whatever. When you're playing a long game, you got to come with some strategies or do something different. They have some trick plays in the game or anything. You got to do whatever you can to win. But I can tell you what, whoever you playing the long game with, KYP, know your personnel.
Believe it.
Better know your personnel. If you know your personnel, then you know, all right, this can bridge the gap. We going through this and going through that. I got to do that. Maybe you got to turn in your jokingly self, and they always laugh at stuff you do, and then finally they've been kind of mean mugging, stole the face, whatever throughout. But if you use your sense of humor and all that stuff, then that might make them crack a smile and like, you know what? I hate you, but I love you so much. I can't stand you, but you make them laugh. You make them smile. Laughter heals a lot of things. Uh, Laughter is the eighth wonder of the world. Laughter. It's an amazing thing to have laughter in your life. If you don't have laughter, uh, I don't know. You might be digging your own grave if you don't be able to have a good laugh. That feels so good to be able to have a good laugh. If you don't have that in your life,
Especially at
you
yourself, you have to.
yeah, yeah.
I'll share a little story with you guys. My other job, we transport clients from place to place and help them move things. So Friday afternoon, probably about 1 o'clock, and I get up the truck, throw the keys in the console, walk around, and I had to take out the mini fridge. It's kind of wedged in there, so I'm go to pull down the gate. The gate doesn't open. Now I know it locks with the door, so I'm not really thinking anything. As I go around to open the passenger door, don't open. I'm like, what the hell? The keys is locked inside the car. Now, automatically, when you take the keys out the ignition, I guess in newer vehicles, the door's locked. So here I am, stuck with the company car, with a client, no phones because the phone's in the car. So it just so happens that another individual who saw us moving furniture into the house or into the apartment asked, she said, "You work for such and such?" I said, "I'm kind of skeptical." I said, "And you are?" She said, "Oh no, I work for the same program too." I said, "Oh yeah." So we got to talking. I said, "By chance, do you have a phone that we can use?" So we end up getting in contact with my manager, so she can come and open the door. And she's laughing in the background. And I said, "Look," I said, "it's funny. You gotta laugh." Because that's the first thing I started doing was laughing at myself. So yeah, it's you have to understand what self-deprecating humor is, and you can't take yourself too seriously to the point where something happens and you are uptight about. You gotta laugh because laughter becomes a tonic for a lot of stuff that ails us. And when you do that, you say, you know what? It ain't that bad. It really ain't. It ain't that bad. And you said, you know what? I got through it. It's a learning lesson because I'll never leave the keys in the car again. I'll take them up if I go to the bathroom. The keys gonna be in my hand. If I go get them to eat, the keys gonna be in my hand. I'll never leave them in the car again. So you gotta learn to laugh.
And I know that to be true because these are my students. One of my favorite students, she always like, Mr. Glover, you play too much. Like, what do you mean I play too much? You're always playing. You always playing. You remind me of my grandfather. Yeah, both bald head. Uh, yeah, both got beards. Like, your beard's gray, whatever. And he plays so much. I said, so you enjoy being around him, huh? And she was like, I do. I do. So she, he plays so much. And that's why she say, no, she real protective of me. And she don't like nobody saying anything with me, and then she don't like nobody could say that when they were like, oh, Mr. Glover, that's my bestie, whatever. She like, no, I'm his bestie, but I don't let choose and um choose between them or downplay one another. But I understand that laughter and sometimes you may remind somebody of something that kind of builds the relationship. But she said, you play too much. And because I realized you got to be able to laugh. You got to crack jokes. You got to have, you, not to the expense that you embarrass them, but you got to have fun with it. So no matter what role you play, you got to be able to have laughter. If you at work and you ain't laughing and you don't have that outlet, I don't know what you do. You might be in some cubicle doing accounting work and just sitting there for 8 hours looking at figures and all that stuff, and you like a robot. And I don't know. And I think one of the things, and I remember when I used to work, when I used to live back at home, and then they used to talk about guys that work on the assembly line, how programmed they become and how regimented they become that many of them, when they come home, they may sometimes be somewhat abusive or whatever the case is because they're really not using their brain that whole time. They're just going through making sure, okay, this part, just going through a line, and they're doing that for hours and hours at a time, and they're really not having. I don't know how. I never worked it. I don't know how much interaction they have when they're on the
You
line, but
don't.
I can imagine you
It's
can't really
monot.
do too much. You got to stay focused.
Yeah, it's
And
monotonous work, man, and that's one of the reasons why I would probably never ever work in a factory is because you don't get to engage mentally. Everything you do
yeah,
is repetitively, and the money's great. Don't get me wrong, and you have some people who thrive in that kind of environment because it allows them to just work and they're just singularly focused. They don't have to worry about anything else. They don't have to speak to anybody, and there's people that thrive like that. So I mean, the world functions on a lot of different people doing what they're good at.
that's true. That's true. So we're gonna get ready to wrap it up. So it's a lot of different things thrown out your way, and if you don't see it now, you'll see the clips. I always throw 6, 7 different clips. And then if you decide to go back and listen to the whole thing, but I can guarantee you something was said that you like, yeah, they right, that you may not have thought about, or whatever the case is. So, Big Bad Wolf, any closing comments to the long game by couples? Some couples make it last forever.
18, man. 18, this little critter here has been bugging to get on camera for 18 years. So we got a little pause here. He's on camera. I don't know how long he's gonna have him, but he's around. But he wants to go down, so I'm gonna let him go. Hey, whatever you want in life, you gotta invest in. It's that simple. You get more of what you put into. You want something out of a relationship, pour into it. But just make sure that the individuals or the thing that you're pouring into pours back into you so you can continue to pour into it. And once you do that, you'll find that marriage relationship math, 1 plus 1. equals 1, it becomes great. It becomes greater than. And as always, growth and understanding occurs in gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
For me, I always talk about two, greater than, less than, equal. Mm. It's all about mathematics. You, like Herb said, you could do relationship math to say 1 + 1 = 2, or 1 + 1 = 1, but greater than, less than, equal. Somebody give you greater, you give them greater. They give you less than, you probably gonna give them less than. Or they give you equal, you get them equal. So again, if somebody says, if we deal it in the world of social media and texting, and somebody said, good morning, baby, how you doing? I hope you have a great day. And they respond back and say, good. The fuck? Huh? That's all you got for me? That would be example of you giving greater and they giving less than, and you say, you know what? Okay, I'll keep it short. And see, these is how little games get played.
Yeah.
These is how little games get paid when you say play when greater than, less than, equal. If somebody give you greater, then come with a greater response. Uh, if they give you less, then you give them less. If if you say good morning or how's your day going or I hope you're having a good day, and they say it's fine, but they don't respond back and say I hope your day is going well, people pick up on those things. I know y'all might say, "Oh, that's petty, that's childish," but it's real. It's real because people like to be validated, and you like to be validated based on being on the same level. So again, you don't want to write out something long and then they turn around. Well, I was busy. Then you should write that in there. It's been real busy, whatever, but I'm thinking about you as well. I'm just schooling y'all on a little game, whatever. But again, greater than, less than, equal. That's how you play the long game, whatever. Got to give people what they want. If they give you less, you may give them less. If they give you more, you're going to want to give them more. If not, you're not going to play the long game too long. It ain't going to last too long. And with that said, we out. Let me see the score of this game. Dallas still losing because
Yeah, last
I
I
was
saw
kind,
was 10.
I was
One look.
kind of, I was kind of pulling for them. Like, okay, if they could make it to the playoffs, they got the offense that they could be dangerous, but they ain't trying to do nothing. Uh, Gina said, bottom line, life is about trade-offs. Once you accept this fact, you are halfway there. The other half is that you have no control over others. Salute, fellas. You're right. You have no control, whatever. You only can control what you can control. So if they give you something less, you have no control over it, but you can control how you respond. And I think that's the key. You got to be able to control what you can control. And with that said, we out. On to the next one. Everybody have a great week. Stay focused. And again, we always get this message. It's November. It's about to get crazy. Stay alert. Time is getting darker earlier. Get these goddamn children in the damn house. They shouldn't be roaming in the damn community. It's dark outside like at 5 something now. 5:30, whatever. Thing I when I left work today was a little after 5. I said, damn, here we go. But I thought they would. This is a whole nother subject. I thought they was about to do away with all of this daylight saving time because of
They
kids.
need
That
to.
they didn't want kids
Unfortunately,
to be on
Congress has to
bus
decide
stops
that.
that early. That don't even make sense. If kids, little kids, even high school or whatever, and they be on the bus stop at 6 something, and if it's still dark outside, it's a no brainer. It's a no brainer in the day and age that we live in, with people riding around in white vans with only 2 windows, scooping up kids and shit. Furthermore, adults. Then we need to change that up. But again, the bottom line is be alert during this time, and women. So y'all like to do all the shopping, and I know y'all itching to get out there to go Christmas shopping and all that. Make sure you do it at a time that is light outside, or you with someone, or whatever the case is. 'Cause you got people out here playing real ghetto games. I said, if you're going to drink to the Cowboys losing another one, go Raiders. Ha ha ha. Both of them ain't hitting on nothing. That's a bad time when
Yeah.
the Cowboys ain't doing
We'll
good in
see
the
in the number
Raiders.
2 spot in the draft.
But all right, good people. We out on to the next one. See y'all next time, and everybody stay well. And again, like I said,
One.
we out. Peace.